to the legendary podcaster, the one, the only, TJMD. Your personal favorite, and the show you've been waiting for. Probably Offensive.
Welcome to Probably Offensive. I am your host, Anthony Scott Dover. And another show. Thank you for tuning in, those of you who are listening to this show. And I'm going to start this show out, as I have, with a COVID update. A brief COVID update. Not a lot of details. By now you are COVID out. Tired of hearing about the coronavirus, most of you. But we have no choice. The pandemic is still in effect. And so we are past the 3 million mark. 3 million cases in the U.S. It doesn't seem real, but that's where we are. Over 3 million cases, over 135,000 dead, and counting. Speaking of counting, I was conversating with this young man, with this one guy. Actually, it was I commented on a post that he put up on Facebook. It wasn't an actual face-to-face conversation, but the guy said something about the numbers being inflated, and I responded on his post by saying the numbers are not inflated, because even if the numbers were inflated, not every person in the U.S. has been tested. They've only tested 38 million people so far, and there's 360 million people in the U.S. That's the population of the U.S., 360 million. So the numbers can't be inflated unless, if they had tested everybody and then lied and boosted the numbers of people who have died. That would be one thing, but you can't inflate numbers if you only test not even a quarter of the people. So I tried to point that out to him, that there's 360 million people in the U.S. They've only tested 38 million people so far, but that's going up every day. And 3 million cases. I'm sure the way this virus is spread, if they tested more people, there would be the numbers would skyrocket. And he was saying, well, the deaths, they are inflating the deaths. I was like, listen, there's so many people who have died, old people who have died from COVID-19 before they even started counting. I mean, this virus has been here in the U.S. since January. The president and his men and some of the other politicians, Congress and Senate, were briefed about COVID-19 coming from China and spreading across the world. They were briefed about it. Yet the president decided not to do anything because he thought it would go away in April. He thought it would just die down. Obviously, he was wrong, but that was a bad decision anyway. You don't just decide on your own when the medical professionals are telling you that it's not going to just die down. You need to do something about this. We have to, But he had already fired the response team, the pandemic response team at the CDC. He said that was a bad idea on Obama's part to have a pandemic response team of scientists and doctors who are doing research and trying to figure out how they can stop pandemics and slow them down as much as possible so we can avoid what we're doing right now. And that is trying to figure out what to do, social distance, wear masks, stay at home, go to work, take unproven drugs like hydroxychloroquine, which is a bad idea because no doctors, no scientists have said you should take that. Only the president said you should take it. And he is the president, but he is not a medical professional, has no degrees in that area. So I wouldn't take his advice if I were you. There's been a few people who have died from taking hydroxychloroquine, and they've had the coronavirus, and it didn't help them at all. One woman was very pissed off when she went to the doctor to find out that she had the coronavirus, and she started taking hydroxychloroquine, and she found out that didn't do anything. She was pissed off about it. She was like, yes, but the president said to take this. And the doctors told her, yes, but the president's not a doctor. And she was like, yeah, you guys are lying. The president said to take this. And those doctors told her, yeah, but we're doctors. We've been doctors for many years. And this drug didn't do anything for the coronavirus. And this lady reportedly was, she was very mad, very angry that the hydroxychloroquine didn't work, didn't do anything. So it looks like the coronavirus is going to be around for a while. Their president is putting pressure on the schools to open up, principals and mayors, and to open up, governors, and to open up the schools around the country. I don't know why he's doing this. I don't know how this could possibly help him politically, because he's saying, well, the kids will be fine. The kids, if they catch the virus, they don't show a lot of symptoms. It ain't gonna hurt the kids. But I'm thinking, what about the teachers, Mr. President? Is it all right if the teachers die? Who's going to teach these children if the teachers are dying? A lot of these teachers are in their 50s and 60s, and there's a small percentage of them in their 70s who hadn't retired because they were in good health before the pandemic hit. So a lot of these teachers were still in sound mind. The president's 74. He's wanting to continue on being the president for another 4 years. So you can't fault someone in their 70s for wanting to work. Okay, so teachers, they don't deserve to have some kid infect them with the coronavirus and them die just because they're 70 years old, Mr. President. It's not just the kids. Yeah, the kids will probably, if the kids don't have a compromised immune system from other medical issues that they've had, then yes, these children probably could go to school, catch the coronavirus, and show very few symptoms and be okay. But you gotta think about the teachers, Mr. President. It's not just the kids are in school. They're not in there by themselves. There's some teachers that have to show up at the building as well, Junior. And that's what you need to think about. It's not just the kids in school. Teachers have to be there. Somebody has to teach these young people. A professional, educated person needs to be there. So we got to look out for the teachers. I'd love to send my kid back to school because my daughter lives with me, and I'm in pretty good health, and so there's nobody for her to give the coronavirus to except me. And I think her and I probably already had it. I could be wrong. We might have never had it, and but I don't have neither one of us have a compromised immune system, so I don't think it would be that big of a deal, and I'd be willing to take the chance that she passes it to me, but I don't want her to pass to get it and give it to the teacher or something. But if it comes into the building from one kid, it's most likely all of them that are in there, whether they're social distancing or not, because kids are fidgety. They're going to get close to each other. They're going to take their mask off. You got to be counting on that type of thing from children. They don't often do things the way they're supposed to be done, and they don't always do what they're told. If you ever had a kid, you understand that. Kids don't always do what they're told, so you're going to have to, they're going to be in school with the mask on, and some other schools are going to social distance, like moving they're going to have half the kids that they would normally have in the building, maybe not even half, because some of the parents might not even agree to let their kid come back to school, but they're going to move the desk apart. That's one of the plans that I seen from a principal in Florida, because they're going to move the desk apart and have the kids wearing masks. But I guarantee you some of these kids will just pull the mask down like it's getting on their nerves. They'll just take it right off. So you can't really count on the children to observe the social distancing and be consistent with it. They'll bump into each other, fart on each other, take their mask down and talk to each other. So, they're children. So it's going to be a challenge in that way. But the president is, wanting the schools to reopen. He has threatened to take funding away from schools that don't reopen, which every day is something new with this guy. This is not endearing you to parents. You're threatening to take funds away from the schools that don't reopen because they don't want children passing the coronavirus back and forth and having teachers catch the coronavirus. And so you got to go about things safely. You can't just do it for political reasons. That's what he's wanting to do. He thinks this opening the schools back up is going to help him politically. The president was actually seen wearing a mask. I've seen that on CNN. He was at the Veterans Hospital, and I guess that's their rule since this pandemic started, that everyone who enters the hospital must wear a mask. So the president did wear a mask. Maybe he'll stop saying silly things about wearing a mask now and just tell his base that it's a good idea to wear a mask in public. I don't understand why so many people are arguing about something like this. It's it's nonsensical to argue about wearing a mask.